Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the Loot Goblin Marketplace. It is very easy to get obsessed with your world as a dungeon master. You may be spending dozens of hours each week fleshing out your worlds, and sometimes only a fraction of that makes it into the game. World building is a lot of fun, but it is important to remember that creating interesting encounters and challenges for the party are just as vital for a fun game. I feel like a lot of DMs make the mistake of wanting to show off all their cool stuff early, and that can result in the players feeling like every scenario was built for the DM instead of the party. When a party is just getting started, you should give them a few small wins before the big bad shows up and steals the show. If you start sending endgame monsters or the main villain at the party too early to set the stakes, you might end up making them feel like they're always running away from unwinnable fights.
Hey kid, want to try some gamer subs? You can now get free samples anywhere in the world and try the most delicious 0-calorie energy powder in the game when you use code lootgoblin. Each sample sent out gets me one step closer to my quest to get a flavor that tastes suspiciously like Dr. Pepper. If you end up liking those free samples and want to purchase some gamer subs, make sure to use the link in the description or use my code to get 10% off your entire order.
Today's treasure was submitted at lootgoblinstories@gmail.com, and it goes by the name The Saga of the Master DM. I had been playing for a while when this story took place. I had gotten into Dungeons & Dragons later in life, but 3.5 was still the go-to D&D system when I started. Fast forward a few years and 5e was now getting very popular. It had been about a year and a half since I had played or DM'd because life kept getting in the way when I had heard about a new game opening up at the local shop. I was so excited, so I got the new books and poured over them to understand the system. I liked it for the most part and loved the changes to Bard, so I set out to make a Bard that focused on healing, support, and skills. We were starting at level 1. At session 0, everything was looking good. We had myself and 2 other veteran players that had been playing longer than I had, all the way back to 2nd edition, as well as 3 new players that were excited to learn, willing to listen, and didn't mind accepting advice. All in all, it was a good group with everyone talking, helping each other, and really wanting to make a party that would work well together. It had everything to indicate it was going to be a great game. When the DM showed up, she was young, but I didn't think anything at the time. The one thing she said that had me a little worried was that she was a master DM that had been DMing professionally for 15 years. I had no idea what DMing professionally could mean, and for 15 years, that would mean that she started DMing professionally when she was 6. The rest of session 0 went okay. We introduced our characters, what we had for backstory, and we were told by the DM that we couldn't know each other at the start of the game. No big. We were all level 1, so we were unknowns. Next week we met and the game started. A little roleplay with the king that had hired us to deliver a birthday gift to a neighboring king. We were delivering the box. The key was being delivered by another party. The box was interesting, near impossible to break into, made of expensive materials, a real treasure chest of who knows what, but we all agreed that we wouldn't mess with it. We started figuring out who was doing what. 1 veteran player and 3 new players were scouting around, while I and the other veteran player drove the cart. We then waited to hear what was happening story-wise, and the DM said, well, roleplay. We gave her an odd look and she explained, this is a roleplay game. What are you talking about? What are you wearing? Who is sitting where? And who is riding where? She then spent the next hour and a half forcing us to give in excruciating detail every little movement our character made, everything we said, and wanting us to come up with a conversation. I'm always really annoyed when I see DMs like this in the story, where clearly the party is struggling to move the plot along, and the DM is doing everything they can to hit the brakes over and over again. I always find it annoying when the DM forces the player to roleplay when they're clearly struggling. 3 of them are new players. It's a new campaign. People really don't know what this campaign's about just yet. As the DM, you have to guide them a little bit more. Maybe eventually they'll build momentum. You force them not to have a backstory that's shared so they can't piggyback off that. So they're really going in completely blind here. You gotta give them something to work with. It's too early to say for sure how professional they are. 1.5 hours of dead time is way too long to speed things up. Let's see what happens when they finally decide to. Then she announced that she was fast forwarding to nighttime. Oh, so just a time skip? We said who was on watch, and that we were doing what we needed to go to bed. Again, that was not good enough. We had to go through every little thing. Who put up the tent? How many hits did it take to drive a stake into the ground? Who had what bedroll? Who started the fire? Did we sing songs or tell stories? What do we eat? How do we cook it? And when we went to sleep, did we snore? What do we dream about? And when the person was on watch, what were they doing to pass the time? I mean, they were on watch, right? Nothing happened in the night, but then she picked up a dice and said, "It's morning. You get a random encounter roll. How I do it is you pick a number, and if I roll within 10 of that number, you get a random encounter." So we picked a number, she rolled and said we were super lucky, no random encounter. So we spent the next few hours of the session describing what our characters did in the game world. Nothing happened. She was super happy but said, "You can do better. Remember, this is roleplay. Play your role." I'd be begging for that random encounter. Just give me something. We were all kind of stunned and didn't talk about it, but the next week's session went the same way. It was so boring and demanding, trying to figure out what small talk our characters were having on the road, and how to describe collecting firewood. Then, the random encounter rolls that were always so lucky not to get an encounter. People were upset and politely voiced it to the DM, who didn't listen again, stating that she'd been a master DM for 15 years. After that, the party all talked to each other and decided to give it one more session. The next day we met, she went into great detail describing a mining outpost we were going through, and pointed out that we heard mining. We all jumped to action. She has finally described something, so this had to be something big. We did knowledge rolls and asked questions. Is this an active mining town? Yes. Should it be active at this time of day? Also yes. Would we find it out of the ordinary to hear mining here? No. Did we see anything out of the ordinary? She smiled and said to roll perception. We did and got some very good rolls. There were 2 nat 20s in there, to which she says, "You see some ants crawling around." We asked if that was it, and she said yes. We saw some ants crawling around. None of us thought this was anything to worry about, so with this just being normal, we moved on. After some more forced roleplay, we talked to her after the session, saying, "Hey, we know that she has her way of playing, but we'd like something to happen. Please. We want to do more than make up stories about our character's past." To which she told us angrily, we skipped her encounter so we got nothing. I asked what encounter we skipped, and she pulled up a picture of Formians, the ant centaur things from Forgotten Realms. I told you you saw ants. We lost it explaining that she said ants, not Formian. Those aren't just ants. We asked if we could go back and face them, and she shrugged saying, "Nope, you skipped the encounter. It's gone. The world doesn't stop because you wanted to." Oh, I'd be fuming too. I wanted to quit then and there, but the new players felt bad thinking it was their fault, and the other 2 veteran players said they wanted to try to give this a shot. So another 2 sessions go by with more, "Oh, you're so lucky, no encounters," and us questioning everything in great detail to make sure we weren't missing plot points. After 2 sessions and nothing, we told her flat out that if we didn't have anything happen soon, we were done. So obviously the next session opened with a large snake in the middle of our camp. Finally, it was something. And because it was one of the new players, the 3 veteran players all decide, okay, let him have this. He charmed the snake into leaving. That's when we found out from the DM, well, because he didn't kill anything, no XP for the party. Maybe you'll do better next time. We were all angry. And the druid who had been celebrating now felt horrible and was quiet for most of the session. Again, after the session, we talked it out civil and calm with the DM, who insisted she was a professional. God, this is such a frustrating read. If everyone's having a bad time, it doesn't matter that you're the expert, you're the professional. Just let them have fun. And also, guys, you can leave at any time. I appreciate that you tried talking it out. It's clearly not working. No XP in like 6 sessions, no loot, no real encounters. I would just call it quits at this point. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this, just walk away. We went on to the next session, and there were some bandits. We asked a lot of questions to make sure that they were bandits, evil, something we're supposed to encounter and kill, and yes, they were. They were orc bandits that were out to rob us. We started combat, and the new players were excited. However, the 3 veterans paid attention. Every time it was the orcs' turn, the DM said the same thing. The orcs walked forward. 2 turns in, and they were at us. They didn't fight back, they didn't attack. The DM didn't roll any dice. Just Just the orcs walk forward, or she skipped their turn altogether. Midway through the fight, myself and one other veteran player started to roll checks to try and see if we could figure out if the orcs were possessed, or under some kind of magical domination, or why they weren't doing anything. Nope, apparently this was completely normal behavior. We got enough XP to level up, and even though the fight was lackluster, we figured maybe this was some kind of story plot we'd figure out later. We'd try to ask, but the DM again just assured us, "I know what I'm doing. I've DM'd for 15 years. I am a master DM." The next session was back to her demanding that we tell more stories about our characters' lives, and how they were riding their horses and what they were snacking on, etc. We all looked at each other and came to a choice. No, we weren't doing that. Either we roleplayed with NPCs, or we were done. We sat in silence after telling her this, and she fast forwarded to meeting with the king. We roleplayed for a bit, and found out the box itself was the gift, nothing inside of it. God, that's so disappointing. Luckily, the neighboring king had a quest for us. Please tell me it's not to send a thank you note right back to the old king. Their kingdom had been attacked by barbarians, so we had to go to a location and wipe them out. Yes, finally. So we all went to the location, and the enemy was a village of storm giants, all challenge rating 7, and some with player character classes. We were still only level 2. There was no way we could handle this, so we all decided to talk our way out of it, figuring maybe the DM didn't want them dead, but wanted us to be smart. The stone giants told us that we were driven out of their home by something they couldn't name, so we went to investigate. Yeah, that something was a nest of white dragon hatchlings that were sick, starving, and dying. We had no clue how they drove out the giants because they were so weak, and once again during combat, the DM didn't roll any dice for them, so we defeat the white dragons easily, only to have the DM gleefully tell us that we see a shadow overhead, and then describe a challenge rating 27 great worm white dragon who was coming to kill us. We barely made it out alive, and she clapped her hands saying, "Isn't it wonderful? You have something to build up to." And then she informed us we ran from the kingdom, not giving us a choice in the matter. She told us flat out our characters ran away. Again, I wanted to just quit, but again after the DM left, the party decided to stick it out because hey, maybe she had a story in mind. I listened and stayed. The next 2 sessions were more of the same, her demanding we talk about our backstories and describe in meticulous detail every little thing our characters were doing, us refusing until we met an NPC, and then her throwing creatures that were too much for us. A challenge rating 20 red dragon that we had to run away from, but yay, we had something to build up to. A challenge rating 16 undead, but woohoo, won't it be fun to come back to this. A challenge rating 25 green dragon. A lot of dragons here, but it's great because we can build up and come back later. Every time we were told we have to run away, and she clapped her hands saying it was motivation for something to do later. I don't know what the DM is trying to prove here. I do get that the monster manual has some high-level encounters, and yeah, the world has big threats, and you're just a small party for now, but this is way too much. Let them build up to that something. The next session, we entered a town. No one at the table looked excited. Everyone had that look like they were beaten down and questioning why they showed up. It was the only game being run though, so here we were. We roleplayed with the NPCs, and finally found out that there was something eating the local fish. Okay, solve a fish shortage. We had a druid and a ranger, we could do this. So we got a boat and went to investigate. After a long few hours of roleplay, we found out the cause. In the bay area of the town was a challenge rating 23 kraken, with enough character levels to actually push it to an effective challenge rating 30. She called it an elder kraken, once again saying how scared we were and that we had to run away, but it's good because we had something to come back to. Give me something to stay for, come on. A collective groan spread over the table, and I saw people packing up to just leave. No, I told her. She asked what I meant. It's my character, I'm not running. That thing is causing innocent people to starve. I'm gonna fight it. I asked the captain to take me to the docks, because we need a bigger boat. I figured people would just leave, but the 2 veteran players laughed and started making rolls looking for a bigger boat, the biggest boat in the village. Then we started looking for cannons, harpoon guns, maybe a ballista, anything we could use. The 3 new players got excited, one saying, "Wait, we can beat that thing?" I laughed and told them flat out, "Oh no, we don't have a chance. That thing is so powerful, it will wipe us out in a single turn. We are only level 2, but hey, hey, it's here, we're here, and my character is sick of running. The new players looked at each other, talked a bit, and then asked, so basically our characters either run away or die? Another veteran player said, basically, yep. They took it in stride though, and said, okay, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. Is there any gunpowder? So we then all bombarded the DM with questions and demands, making rolls, role-playing, threatening the townspeople, all ready to go to war with this thing. And for the first time since we made our characters, people were laughing at the table. We were having fun. We didn't care that we were going to lose. We wanted to see how far we could last. The DM sputtered and insisted our characters come to their senses and run away, but we told her no we don't. We were gathering arrows, ballista bolts, spears, making them if we have to. We were getting a boat, and we were going to fight that thing. After all, she was the one that put it in front of us, and we were not running. The session ended with a huge list from us of what we collected, and who we still had to talk to in town. Everyone was having a blast, and talking about what was going to be put on our characters' graves. We showed up next week all grinning and ready, but the DM called the shop and said the game was over, and that she had never been with the worst group, and would never DM there again. That right there is an excellent ending. That actually gave me a good laugh right there. I don't even know why she's mad. I feel like this DM hates fun so much. You guys actually roleplay, you're doing everything they want, and they're still miserable because it isn't on their terms. There are plenty of stories where I don't like the problem player or problem DM, but this one pissed me off more than average. I never get why DMs have a power fantasy about crushing their players. You are the god of the setting. You can literally do anything to beat them at any time. So throwing high-level encounter after encounter and forcing them to leave like it's a cutscene, what is the purpose of that? Is it really that impressive that you can kill a player character that you have full control over? Let them have their wins. Actually let them build up to something. The monster manual has a lot of stuff that can crush a level 2 party. Is it really necessary to introduce one per session? It seems like this campaign went on for like 20 sessions. I cannot name a single interesting encounter. It was either a bunch of too hard to beat encounters or a bunch of health sponges that did not fight back. The players had no agency this entire story. The dice roll and the character build did not matter. If you could do 1 damage, you could eventually kill whatever they put in front of you that's low level, and since you can't handle like a level 20 dragon, it doesn't really matter if you like optimized your level 2 character, because it still wasn't enough to beat a level 20 dragon. I kinda get why the player didn't leave. The rest of the table seem really cool, but that's just another reason to find a new DM or become the DM yourself. There are way more people that want to play than want to DM, because it is a lot of work, but I've always found it worth it. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks in the comments below, and as always, you can like and hype the video as it really helps the channel grow, and subscribe to be a member if you haven't already. I hope to see you in the next video. Farewell for now.